everyone. This is Brenda of Love's Inner Voice. So blessed to be here today. As you know, we start out with deep breathing, and then I'll introduce you to my beautiful guest named Serene Grace. So let's take in some deep heart breaths through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth like you're breathing through a straw. That will awaken your parasympathetic system, which brings in light and love instead of stress and fear. And we want to do that. So breathe in through your nose, breathe out. And as you breathe out, let anything go that you're ready to get rid of and send it to the divine. Breathe in light and love. Breathe out anything that you're ready to get rid of. And let's just be in the present moment where we can enjoy learning about loving ourselves authentically now, today, in this moment with Serene Grace. Thank you so much for being here. I am so honored to have you, Serene Grace. It's so fun to see you again. You are an intuitive empath and empowerment life coach for over 25 years. You look so young. Of holistic experience. Your journey began with the creation of Shining Bright with Serene Grace in 2019. And it involved many things. You've had podcasts. You are a Reiki healer, a hypnotist. You do therapeutic art, which I dearly love. And a gift that you've had since childhood that allows you to connect with spirit guides, angels, and loved ones from the past. What a gift that is. During the pandemic, you experienced your work into etiquette and launched the inspiring Peacock Post. And we can talk about that later if you wish. Serving as the editor and creator, you began hosting Shining Bright with Serene Grace, and that was your podcast. What a gift. Your inner light just shines, Serene Grace, and I'm so blessed to have you here. You work with clients worldwide, and you love to travel and do holistic and wellness events and to teach. So your mission, I love this, is to uplift mind, body, and spirit through empowerment, clarity, and compassion. Let's sparkle together. Welcome, Serene Grace. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Brenda. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy spring. Put the spring in spring. And I have to say this. You mentioned I done this basically the background for 25 years, starting from part-time then to full-time later in my life. But I will say this, I have a birthday coming up on Easter Day. I'll be 49. So I'm celebrating the last year of my 40s before the big 50, that was 50, which I look forward to. So I am aging gracefully, and I got to say I'm doubly blessed because my birthday is on Easter. And so I'm looking forward to a wonderful 49th year with many sparkles.
Many sparkles, yes.
Yay.
Many happy birthday.
Thank
And,
you.
Easter is such a beautiful time of the year energetically for many people. And it doesn't matter what denomination we come from, it's more about the spirit of the heart and the blossoming of spring and the blossoming of nature and the blossoming of us and how we want to learn. So tell me what first inspired your journey into holistic work.
Well, there's many factors that kind of led to the work I do today, but I'll start very simply, since I was 3 years old, I was born with the gift of intuition, being intuitive, and also mediumship, seeing spirits, loved ones, angels, and also auras. And when I grew up, I was brought up Methodist and Catholic. So I had an upbringing, Christian upbringing. And I always had these gifts, but I always kept them low key, without people really knowing about them until, I got in my mid 20s, mid late 20s, where I had like an activation or an aha moment, I call it, to really kind of figure out more of who I am instead of just what I had in my life being conditioned to be a certain way. And with
Mhm.
my own personality, I'm very free spirited. And so I always stepped out of my comfort zone to learn more about life and learn about anything that resonated with my spirit. And so I started being pulled towards the holistic modalities. If it comes to learning Reiki, if it's being inspired to love life coaching, that was new about 20 something years ago. Also learning about the mysteries of, learning tarot, angel cards, different modalities that can be about like automatic writing, that might be tied for mediumship, learning about the clairsenses, being clairvoyant, being clairaudient, clairsentient, Claire Empath, which I am very strongly, and also in other modalities like learning more about um, therapeutic artwork, also having a learning about hypnosis and many other modalities that just kind of came along the way what got me inspired. But one of the things that really activate me to be more uh, want to be an instrument, a vessel of great healing and also compassion and grace. It was after when I got diagnosed with a brain condition called autoimmune current malformation, type 1, in my late
Mhm.
20s. And then I had a severe gym accident when I was like 32 back in 2009, which led to exacerbation to my condition. And I had major brain surgery back in October 2010 at Johns Hopkins University, which end up being decompressive surgery, dualplasty, craniotomy, and putting a Chiari plate, a titanium mesh plate in my brain. But I ended up having many issues from the cure that I needed this corrective surgery. And after that corrective surgery, that was another aha moment to come in more into my own power, my own self, to be, again, to take the leap of faith to gradually come into the holistic field as my second career. My previous career was legal government for 25 plus years. I used to work in
Wow.
Washington, D.C. For over a decade, international trade. I used to work for around 30 something judges for state district. I used to be in a courtroom clerk, worked for law firms, been around just a number of different kind of people as a public servant, and also had that experience that later brought me the foundation to then come into being in the holistic field part-time. So when I went into part-time, I went into the fact of, well, I need to learn slowly but surely while I work my day job. So under the radar, I ended up working for a store out in Laurel, Maryland at the time, which
Oh.
gave me the business experience and also practice of my modalities and meet people from different walks of life to incorporate uh, empowerment life coaching, mediumship, Reiki healing, and any other modalities that may help people. And it's really interesting. So, from anything from my legal career to going into the second career, the holistic field, I end up going into different forms of coaching like love, relationship, confidence, self worth building, career, business, grieving, uh, and then also later on, as I got out from my first career, legal government, I ended up moving down to Georgia, which was also a catalyst that later transitioned me out from the legal career into being full time in the holistic field than I'm doing now once the pandemic started back in March of 2020. So the holistic aspect was part time and then later became full time, starting more like in 2020. But technically, for me, who I became, Shine Bright with Serene Grace, that was formulated about maybe just part time 15 years ago. But officially, that leap of faith came in 2019. Again, I moved to Georgia, and then all of a sudden I just started getting more into other outlets to practice my modalities, especially being having an online presence and becoming independent contractor to other networks or outlets to provide my services instead of working out of the store. I later went again globally with other outlets, and then all of a sudden again, the pandemic moved forward again, 2020, March 2020. I just went full time and it just kind of aligned itself where I was able to be more a practicing full time practitioner. And from that, I also started creating websites. You know, I had serenegrace13.com, which ended up being my first holistic website, which had my intuitive insights, publications. And then later came in 2020 the Inspiring Peacock Post, which was the etiquette version of myself, I call it, where I end up having other writers and myself create etiquette publications in different areas of life, like love, business, career, life, lifestyle, culture, wellness, you name it. And eventually, as I went further, like from 2020 into 2022, I later got into media to do broadcasting, podcasting, and I had Voice America Media come to me and say, "Hey, would you like to have your own podcast show?" And that was my first show was Shine Bright with Serene Grace on Voice America Media for about 2 years, and that was a pilot program to kind of get my feet wet in media. And then as as I was producing that show, I later came a trademark name was Shine Bright with Serene Grace, and then I decided to incorporate by consolidating two websites into one, which is now shinebrightwserenegrace.com, which now has everything of my intuitive insights, etiquette publications, podcasts, and events. And that was back in probably around the same time I got trademark in 2023. And as I'm still doing the new podcast, my first show on Voice America Media, I did that for 2 years. And then around like end of 2023, Albright TV came around and said, "Would you like to do another show?" So I ended up doing a second show for Albright TV for about 2 years, from 2020 to 2025, called You're in Light with Serene Grace. And so I kind of like it's another extension of doing another show for another network, which ended up being very successful. And now we are here in 2026, and I'm with you. And that is a little bit of who I am and where I came from. So hopefully that I try to, it's a lot of different steps, but try to put it together. That is my timeline, and that's where I am today.
You've been very busy.
I like to be a busy bee. I have, I
Yeah.
call myself a nectar connector where I like to connect with people. And so, the universe has really graced me with many blessings that if you asked me 20 years ago, would I be doing this work? I would say no.
Yeah.
I'd be somewhere else, maybe still working in Washington, D.C., in the legal field.
Yeah.
But it ended up being another calling, and that's the way everything kind of went about my life. But the most important thing when I have done all my work, my main message, and everyone has a niche and a message when they finally start doing this work and you get the experience and the practice. And I think that's what it is. I think my timeline speaks about my experience and where I am today, being more confident to speak what am I about. And one thing I'm about is empowerment, clarity, compassion, but also important is for people to find their inner sparkle, the divineness of who they are, how to tap back into their inner strength, compassion, and to liberate themselves from any old conditionings, any fears, anything that holds them back in different areas of their lives. And I'm just the vessel, the instrument that helps you be your biggest cheerleader or mentor, and also give you the resources of how to find yourself. But at the same time, I'm very clear with my clients that I'm here for you, but it is for you to learn how to take accountability to work what you need to get back to you so you have your freedom to be back to your higher self. So that's what I
So,
do.
are you willing to share one of your transformational stories related to one of your clients that you just spoke of?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. There's
Just
many.
one that stands out in your mind. Just one. And if you're not, that's okay. We can move on.
I gotta think. Well, actually, I have a lady, and she has been coming to me for the past year or so in career coaching, and along with uh, bringing in the spiritual gifts that I
Mm-hmm.
use. And so it
Mm-hmm.
varies from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady's been looking for the right job for the past year. And
Wow.
knowing how hard the job market is right now, I actually have been trying to intuitively coach this lady of how to find how to narrow down what she wanted to do and also tell her to be patient and proactive in today's world with the way the job market is. And that, as much as I can give you a timeline, you still have free will and choice to be proactive, to put yourself out there to
Right.
manifest what you want in your career field. Anyway, about a couple weeks ago, she called me and she says, I have to let you know something. Thank you for being there. It's been a tough road. I've gone from job to job, or I got a job and I'm let go, but all of a sudden I land myself in a engineering firm at this really good position of being an executive assistant, but also getting the opportunity to be trained and promoted later on. And if it wasn't for you to encourage me and to continue doing what I need to do, I wouldn't be where I am with you. So
That's beautiful. So I have a final question for you. How do you hope to continue sparkling and uplifting the world through your work and assisting others to do the same?
I think, I've done a lot in the last, again, since 2020. I
Mm-hmm.
thought about for 2026 is to start being more of a guest on other podcasts. Now, I have done that in the past, but again, in the last 4 years, I've been the interviewer. Now I'm going to be the interviewee.
Right.
I want to bring a message with my work of what I do, and that is, again, talking about how can you find that inner sparkle, that inner light back to yourself to liberate, and how to be stronger, how to be enough. And again, giving yourself the freedom to work in today's world. It doesn't matter what area it is, whatever you need to work on. It's not about talk. It's really about giving people a guideline, a framework to work
Yeah.
off on. And a lot of people look for
Mm-hmm.
that and they don't know where to begin. So for
Yeah.
me, I be one from my experience, and I think I have also an advisor personality to show people from my different backgrounds of, from all my careers and where I am now, to show them how to do that. And it depends on the client and the situation, how I'm going to guide them.
That's really beautiful. Do you have any simple things that somebody can do today?
Well, I definitely believe in the breath work. I think sometimes
Yes.
when we
I
have
love the breath
moments
work.
of stress, overthinking, overanalyzing, sometimes we need to slow down, and so we need to have sometimes, even if it's 5 minutes a day, or even 5 minutes in the morning or at night, come to a place of stillness and start doing some of that breath work, like you do
Hmm.
breath work at the beginning of your show. I say to people, breathe in like 3 times, exhale 3 times out. But when you inhale, say, I inhale confidence and I exhale fear. And I think that's a form of affirmation in your brain to let go whatever is constricting you. And I think it's a good
Beautiful.
grounding tool. to
Yeah,
have.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Anything else you want to finalize with that? Any connection that you want to give people to find you to
Well, I do have my website. My website is the main hub to find all my work. Again, all my intuitive insights. I basically write monthly on intuitive insights and etiquette publications. So it is shining bright w serenegrace.com. Again, it's shining bright w serenegrace.com, and that's how people can reach me. And on my website, there is a little connector tab where you can send a message, and I'll be able to get the message and respond that way.
that's
And,
beautiful.
and then also on my website, I also put events where I do go to expos. So it's another way to check to see if I'm in your local town. You'll be able to meet up with me, and I'd be glad to help you.
Well, that's beautiful. Are there any final words you'd like to give our audience before we say goodbye this time? We may get together again. I would love it.
You know what? I think I want to remind people that we're going through a very hard time in life of uncertainty, unpredictability, but I think we need to live more of the moment. We need to breathe, sometimes by
Hmm.
taking one day, one thing at a time, and also to remind yourself that you're strong and that you're enough in the world. You're a sparkle, you're a beautiful divine light that is here
Hmm.
on earth for a reason, and that
Yep.
no one else can control your free will, and that is a gift for you to develop, to also become the captain of your own journey. And I think also another thing is that a lot of people are looking for answers. Sometimes answers come in moments when you're ready, and then also come in moments when you least expect it as miracles. And sometimes we might have pauses in life where we need to just sit still for what we have and be grateful for. So I think
Hmm.
gratitude is very important as you
Yep.
live in the moment. And then as you're in these pauses sometimes, you also have to realize that universe is preparing you for the next phase of your life. So sometimes being still, being calm, and even though you don't have all the answers, sometimes that is the moment when your alignment is about to shift again, and then it's going to start moving forward for the things you're supposed to do that you may have in mind, and maybe also what God has in mind.
I love that. And I love that you use the word pause because I love acronyms. And my favorite acronym for pause is perhaps another unknown solution exists. And if we pause long enough, if I pause long enough, I'm going to say I because I use this too. If I pause long enough, I may get the answer that I asked the divine for, or I may see the perspective from a whole new perspective, the issue that I'm dealing with, or the struggle that I'm having, or whatever. All of a sudden, oh, I could look at it that way. Oh, wow. I surprise myself sometimes when I
Yes.
take that quiet time, that pause, that breath.
Well, I think as I age more gracefully, I look forward to my quiet time. I enjoy
Mhm.
my peace. I don't my threshold, I am a very patient person, but my threshold has changed of what I allow and what I don't allow. So I have healthy boundaries. And that's another thing when people come to me, I teach people about boundaries. And that's another tool to learn is learning
Mhm.
what are boundaries. Some people are never brought up knowing what boundaries are or how to
Right.
navigate other people's boundaries. And so another thing I do is with my coaching, and when you learn to teach boundaries to people, you also take back more of that freedom of your peace, of your time to utilize it more effectively.
And that's so beautiful because we are each unique beings and we all have something to offer to the world when we're willing to notice, let go, and be as authentically kind to ourselves as we can. Thank you so much, Serene Grace. Take good care, my friends. Breathe as you go throughout your day, and we'll see you next time.